Now Mahindra's been on a real onslaught in launching new cars in the Indian car market. So after they launched their new Scorpio last year, they came up with the TUV 300 and then the KUV 100. And now they're ready with that. That is the replacement for their sub 4 meter 7-seater, the Quanto. They call it the Nuvo Sport. And we've got our hands on it just days before the launch, just for a few hours at their Nasik facility. We are at their small little cute oval test track. So we're going to do our very best to tell you everything that we can about Mahindra's new Nuvo Sport. I must admit, when I first saw the Nuvo Sport from a distance, I did mistake it for a Quanto. That's because the basic silhouette hasn't changed all that much. But when you get to the front, which is the most striking angle for the Nuvo Sport, you realize a lot certainly has changed. Mahindra is making a habit of designing striking front ends that relatively underwhelm at the side and rear angles. They say very few elements have been carried forward from the Quanto, the ones which aren't really all that significant. The bonnet scoop on the hood is actually functional, feeding air to the top-mounted intercooler. The large headlight unit is adorned by an eyebrow DRL strip. At the back, the tailgate-mounted spare wheel has a newly designed sprightly cover. In addition, the Nuvo Sport sits on Nuvo larger 16-inch wheels which are standard. Mahindra's new SUV wants to befriend the adventure junkies on the insides too, despite being very similar in layout to the Quanto's interiors. If you've dug deeper into your wallets for the top-end variant, you get a faux leather upholstery and a 6.2-inch touchscreen infotainment system that's probably not the best looking unit, but does everything except navigation in a very user-friendly manner. Its near vertical placement isn't ideal, however. Apart from the instrumentation behind the wheel, the dash also has a centrally mounted driver information display which feeds additional information. The greenhouse for the occupants is massive, but the real story here is the space. Now, if there was a seating arrangement that would seat 7 people in comfort in a sub 4 meter car, Mahindra would claim that this is it. In fact, all their claims about the interior space of the Nuvo Sport are all best in class. Of course, they're comparing against the Ford EcoSport and of course Mahindra's own TUV 300. And when you get inside this cabin, you do realize that they've done an exceptional job with the interior packaging. This is space maximization to its very best. If only they could get their build quality issues sorted out, of which there are plenty of examples strewn across this cabin. I feel that that is one area, that is one box that Mahindra have still not completely checked. The boot is a tall 412-litre cabin with the jump seats folded up and can be expanded to 850 litres with the second row folded. With the jump seats folded, the second row can also be reclined, which is definitely a good welcome addition. The Nuvo Sport predominantly has 3 variants, the N4, N6 and the N8. The N4 has an optional N4 Plus variant that has the quintessential safety extras. And that's where the range should start for you if you consider buying the Nuvo Sport. What I like about Mahindra is that they stick to their strengths. The world can say that the cars are hatchbacks or crossovers, but they will say that their portfolio has only SUVs, except of course the Verito. And the cars do feel like SUVs. You sit in a very high commanding position, even in the Nuvo Sport for that matter. The floorboard is very high. So high that you have to adjust the steering wheel to the tallest position, otherwise your knees just get in the way. If like me you're finicky about the perfect driving position, you're better off buying the top-end variant, which features an 8-way adjustable driver's seat to get that perfect driving position. Well, at least you can get close enough. The Nuvo Sport benefits like its predecessor and most Mahindras with a lot of welcome storage spaces, but what else is new? The Nuvo Sport is based on Mahindra's new 3rd generation platform that they built specifically for the new Scorpio. Now, it's not a monocoque like the KUV or the XUV, and Mahindra claimed that this particular body-on-frame or ladder-frame chassis suits cars that are meant for tougher, harsher terrains much better. And in that sense, since this is a car for the adventure-driven, it suits the Nuvo Sport as well. The power and torque figures for the Nuvo Sport are identical to the car that it replaces, which led us to believe initially that it was the same diesel engine carried forward. Mahindra engineers, however, corrected us that the Nuvo Sport is powered by their new M-Hawk 100 engine. Now, where have you heard that before, the M-Hawk 100? Well, that was the engine that debuted with the TUV 300.
but in that particular state of tune, it made about 80 horsepower. In this, thanks to a newly tuned twin-scroll turbocharger and newer components on the engine, this makes about 100 horsepower. It's also got a class-leading 240 Newton meters of max torque, and that's not so much going to give you lightning 0 to 100 performance figures as much as tractable performance that you will appreciate when you're driving in everyday traffic.
There is a possibility that the Nuvo Sport may feature Mahindra's new petrol engine sometime in the future, but that does seem a plan far from fruition.
Now, along with the regular 5-speed manual gearbox, you also get the option of an automated manual transmission or an AMT with the Nuvo Sport, which essentially means that you get all the benefits of clutchless automated gear shifts with the efficiency of a manual gearbox. Now, unlike most of the Indian manufactured car, it is not a Magneti Marelli system, it is a Ricardo system. It's a new generation Ricardo system which also gets a forward creep function, which essentially means that in bumper to bumper traffic you can creep forward gradually by just releasing the brake pedal, just like conventional automatics.
The AMT is offered on its mid and top end variants. The base expectedly misses out. The Nuvo Sport also features driving modes like we are seeing on so many cars today. Power and Eco quite self-explanatory. The engine essentially works on two states of tune. The Eco mode, its corresponding state of engine mapping, along with micro-hybrid technologies like start-stop, affords it an ARAI certified fuel efficiency figure of 17.45 kilometers per litre.
Which, if it is true, essentially means that with a 60-litre tank, you're looking at a range of over 1,000 kilometers. So Bombay to Goa and back in one tank full of diesel, with my driving style, kind of seems a little improbable, but you can try it out.
Safety has clearly been a mandate, and that is reassuring. Apart from the use of high-strength steel and crumple zones, which Mahindra reckons significantly protects the occupants from both frontal and side impacts, they are also offering 2 front airbags, ABS and EBD on all variants except the base. You do, however, have them as an option on the base variant. They call it the N4 Plus variant. Mahindra says they want safety to be easily accessible to all their customers. We, however, still rather that manufacturers force it down their customers' throats. The top-end variant also features cruise control and park assist.
And for all you backseat, chauffeur-driven travelers with a perpetual distrust for your drivers, the display also shows you the distance that you've traveled with the AC on, so you can catch those buggers red-handed.
The Nuvo Sport is underpinned with a double wishbone setup in the front and a multi-link setup at the back, and it has been further reworked from the Quanto. Now, Mahindra's TV commercials feature the tagline, "Do it all." Well, can the Nuvo Sport do it all?
Now, Mahindra suspension setups have often been criticized in the past, and they came a long way with the new Scorpio, and since this is a car that's based on the new Scorpio, the suspension should be quite impressive. Now, I found myself a patch where I can test this out, and if you're going to drive like this on roads like this, it does seem like it's going to take a lot of punishment. Now, the way they've come this far in terms of their suspension setup is thanks to an American consulting firm called Cayman, which has managed to tune the suspension rather well for Indian conditions. But right now I can only give you my first impressions, more on the ride quality once we do a real world test.
The Nuvo Sport does seat 7, okay, but it does lack a very important feature to facilitate that. A rear AC vent, which means not only do the unfortunate 2-seated in the third row jump seats have to battle claustrophobia, but also the lack of cooling. The other 5 passengers, however, won't have too much to complain about in Mahindra's Nuvo SUV.
I've kept what I think about the name for the very end, Nuvo Sport. Now, it isn't the usual Mahindra name now, is it? There isn't the usual XUE, TUE, KUE confusion. It isn't suffixed by an O. It's just Nuvo Sport. I kind of like it. Like the car, it's supposed to target youthful, adventure enthusiastic families of 7. So, how much is it going to cost you? Well, let's find out straight from the launch ceremony.
The Nuvo Sport was launched by Mahindra at Rs 7.35 lakhs ex-showroom Thane, which makes it about Rs 20,000 more expensive than the TUV 300 and about 40,000 rupees more expensive than the Quanto. The top-end N8 variant with the AMT goes all the way up to 9.76 lakhs ex-Thane. Now you've heard my take, let's find out from the top boss at Mahindra Automotive what makes the Nuvo Sport stand out in its portfolio of SUVs.
Why customer will buy the Nuvo Sport is for its style, for its performance, without compromising the ride and comfort what one would like to have on a sporty vehicle, and also for the versatility of its use. When the vehicle is used in the cities, it has an AMT which will take you out of the torture of driving the vehicle in the city congested traffic. So all in all, Nuvo Sport has a differentiating product offering and is going to address the different segment of the customers.